Hey everyone, this is Jason from Shapeshifter Sculpting. It's been a while since I've done a in-person video, so I thought I'd do a kind of what's been going on. Well, been hard at work here in the shop, kind of wrapping up what I'm calling Series 1, which was the biomechanicals, the zombie bust, zombie magnets, the Joker bust, and the Joker magnets. And yeah, that would do it. Oh no, and biomechanical heads. Those are last one I have to wrap up. But yeah, so that's where I'm at with that. I'm also trying out a new camera situation here. It's kind of neat. It'll follow me as I move around. A friend of mine lent me this to try out, and I finally actually had the time to do it. I messed with it a little bit before, but did not have a lot of time to actually put it into practice because I was spending all of my time getting ready for the Boise Comic and Arts Festival, which took place at the end of August. It's my first time ever showing my work. It was a lot of fun. It was a great learning experience, and I was completely wiped out after it. The whole month of August, any spare moment I had, I was working on my stuff to get it ready. I took a couple days off of work leading right up to it, like very little sleep, and I didn't even have everything ready in time. But I had more than enough. Yeah, so it was a good learning experience. I made a few sales. That was a little disappointing, but my original intention was to go into this as a learning experience because I've never done anything like this before. So there were a number of things that took place that I'm going to try and address the next show that I'm at. I'm hoping to get into this show in December, KrampusCon. One, the Boise Comic and Arts Festival, I don't know necessarily that my work was a good fit, and was a comics fest, essentially. My work was more kind of horror-centered. I did have the Jokers, but for all I know, Joker is like a tired thing at this point, or not, I don't know. A lot of people seem to like them, and the ones that I did sell were the Joker magnets. Pricing may have been an issue. I didn't have any small little doodads or anything, which a lot of people seem to be selling. Like stickers and just little items, you know, kind of in the $20 range. My cheapest item, the magnets, was I had them priced at $30. I actually had a woman walking by and looking at it and verbally scoff at the price, but you know, it's unfortunately, you know, there's a lot that goes into these, as anyone who does this knows. You know, the cost of materials, the time. You know, $30 is actually, to me, a very fair price for the amount of work that goes into them. But I think the biggest thing that I encountered was that a lot of people thought my work was 3D printed. And that was a little disappointing. I mean, it was really cool when I actually had the opportunity to interact with people, because you know, once they learned that this stuff was hand sculpted and you know, handcrafted, they just lit up. They're like, "Oh my God, wow, this is amazing!" You know. But I heard people walking by and being like, "Oh, 3D printed," and you know, I understand that. Like when I see 3D printed stuff, I don't value it as much as something that's been handmade. No shade at people who want to do 3D printing. I think it's really cool, but I do value it less than I value something that, you know, people do by hand with, you know, clay and actual materials and all of that. And I don't know, I got the sense at the event that a lot of people just kind of didn't value it. So there was that, and so that's what I basically experienced on the first day. This was a 2-day event. And so the second day, I went home that night and was like, all right, you know, what can I do? I had a suggestion that was really great, and that was to put together a video of the process. So I have a bunch of video of me doing various things in the shop. So I put together a video, ran it on, put it on an iPad, set the iPad up the next day, and had it running on loop the whole day. I also just made a sign that was just like, these are handmade, blah, 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 you know, and then I had the pricing. And I put that out front and center. I did have the NFC keychains that I had made. Now those were 3D printed. I had those out and about, but I ended up pulling those back because I think that could have also been signaling people that this was 3D printed stuff, because those were very apparent that they were 3D printed. A quick segue, speaking of that though, the NFC keychains, people love them. I still have a bunch more. I will give them out at whatever next event or, you know, purchases, I'll throw them in. But people really thought that was neat. So that was cool. It was cool seeing people's response to that. I actually did see a bump in my analytics to my website from those keychains. I had created a link. It wasn't anywhere on my website. Only way it was to access it was to know to go directly to the link, and so anyone coming was coming from that keychain because that's what it was set up to go to. So yeah, so you know, I did that, those approaches, and it didn't really change anything at that point. I had a lot of great interactions with people. People seemed really interested in the work. They really liked it. One thing I did is I brought the tooth fairy that I had sculpted and literally had the sculpture right there, and that really brought people in, and they were really thrilled with it. So all that stuff was great. You know, getting eyes on my work, that was important to me, and I did. It was the first time, so I was starting to get out there a little bit here, at least in the local sense. And you know, and getting that feedback was great. I mean, I've never shown my art in you know, a public situation like that ever. So it was really validating. So yeah, that was wonderful, and I appreciated everyone who, you know, took the time to share that with me. But what I will do differently the next time. One thing I think I'm going to do is not have all of my products out there. Like I had 10 of the busts and the zombie busts, and 20 of the Joker magnets. I didn't have my zombie magnets, which I'm actually still finishing. Will actually be done today. You know, I had the 5 biomechanical. So, I mean, I just had multiples of everything, and I wonder if it might be better just to have one of each and then just have everything, you know, in the back ready to go. Because that might have also lent itself to that idea of things being 3D printed. So I think I may do that. We're just, you know, showing one product of each. I think work some on the display. My display was very basic. You know, maybe I'll get something where things are elevated. I don't know, just something that'll pull people in, you know, more visual interest. I think I will be making a sign for the next one that's basically right on the nose. No 3D printing in big, bold letters. Because even when I printed off a notice, I mean, I didn't make it gigantic, you know, it was just on a little 8.5 by 11 placard. And, you know, it wasn't like screaming in people's faces that this is handmade. So I may attempt to do that. And like I said before, the venue may have not been the right fit. I mean, there was a lot of foot traffic, but I mean, when I looked at the things that people were buying, it was stickers. It was a lot of these little like dolls and stuff that I don't even know what they are, like little Japanese or Asian dolls, and you know, other kind of collectibles in that genre. You know, so this next event, I'm waiting for them to make an announcement for vendors, and if I can get into that, I think I'm going to be a really good fit for that from looking at stuff from the previous years. And this is KrampusCon here in Boise. So I do hope I can get into that, and there can be you know, a better experience, at least in regard to sales. You know, I don't want to denigrate the Boise Comic and Arts Fest, because I had a really good time. It was a lot of fun. My wife was there with me. She helped me out. We both had a good time. So, you know, that was really great too, just understanding that, like, you know, I had some trepidation, like, man, are we going to be sitting here for hours on end, just, you know, bored out of our minds. And it went by so fast, it was almost surreal. I mean, by the time the first day was over, all of a sudden I'm back home, and I was like, wow, was that a dream? It went by so quick. So yeah, currently I am, like I had said, I am wrapping up these zombie magnets, and I'll have these on my store. I'm just putting hair on a few of them. I got a few left to do, doing different varieties of hair. Like this one's got a mohawk. This one's got some different hair on it. So trying just, you know, different stuff with the hair. The mohawk ones though are really cool, and also it kind of reminds me of the Return of the Living Dead. So I'm gonna do definitely more mohawks. I got 3 of them so far, but I think I might actually do like 8 of them or something like that. So there's that. I still do have biomechanical heads to finish, and those are over here. I have 10 of these yet to finish. These were originally intended for the BCAF, the Boise Comic and Arts Fest, but I ran out of time. These are just going to be like, you know, standalone decorations. They're, you know, basically like paperweights or whatever you'd want to call them. I still need to clean these up, you know, maybe do a little bit of patching in some spots, and then primer and paint. So there's still quite a bit of work. Just the line details on these, when I did the full biomechanicals, when I did the heads, each one of them painting the lines took me an hour. So that's like 10 hours of work there alone. Thankfully, the rest of it was pretty simple. So hoping to have these in the next couple weeks, because I'm also trying to do other things, which I have been really having a hankering to do. I mean, I've lived with this, you know, Series 1 stuff for a long time, and I gotta admit, I'm at the point where I don't even want to look at it anymore. I'm done, you know. It's been really fulfilling. I think they're really cool, but I'm ready to be doing something else. And thankfully, I started last night with my guy right here, which I'm not going to show you right now because it's barely even gone anywhere, but I started working on my first latex mask. This is my Ed head, and I got it covered in clay, and I'm going to be sculpting on this. I'm also going to be starting a small sculpture, or smaller, for my mother, which I intend on taking the final sculpt, and after I mold it, changing it so that it's actually something cool to put in my store. But I'll have more on that later. This right now is the thing that I'm really excited about, and I've been wanting to. I thought I was going to be working on this damn thing in the spring. I've had all my materials sitting here waiting. I was afraid the frickin' clay was going to dry out before I even got to it. So thankfully that wasn't the case, and I started her last night. And yeah, I'll be working on this over the next coming weeks. I did have a request from a friend who's actually going to be touring with the band Crucifixion here in November. He wanted me to make a mask for him. Unfortunately, I don't know that I'm going to have the time for that. If I do, I'll definitely let you know. Because if you're into Crucifixion and you're out there, you'll see them wearing it. But I don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately. But you should still check out Crucifixion because they're fucking cool. Yeah, that's essentially all I have right now. You know, this is, once again, for my validation, but if you get something out of it, great. I definitely will be following up at some point here with videos on making the mask, and maybe some other stuff as well. I have to say, first time using wet clay, and wow, man, it's cool. The way that it's just so easy to move. That's really, really nice. Really just enjoyed the feeling of it in my hands, you know. So that's really awesome. It's exciting. Really hoping my mask turns out well. I've never worked this big either, which is well, a whole new experience and a whole new challenge. You know, I imagine there's, you know, your pros and cons of, you know, smaller stuff, bigger stuff. You know, the smaller stuff, one thing I've always noticed, it's almost like you can get away with like gestural like movements almost, you know, like if you've ever drawn, like I've spent most of my life drawing, you know, you can just make like a line and it'll communicate a lot of information. And sometimes with the smaller stuff, I've noticed that like you can do small things with the clay that communicate a lot of information almost in the same way. I don't know that you're going to get away with, or I'm going to get away with something like that in here. So I mean, I kind of equate that to being like gestural, and I don't know that that's applicable to this. But one thing I think is going to be really fun for me is because of the size, we're really getting into the detail. You know, sometimes working on the smaller stuff, it's really hard with the details. So this will be nice, and yeah, I look forward to sharing it with you. Look forward to actually have it made too. That's going to be really fun. So yeah, once again, nice to be sculpting again. I feel like I've spent so much time casting and painting and, you know, patching and doing all of that here now for like months. So this is cool. All right, I'm rambling, so that's it for now. All right, you guys take care. And